Has this author been scammed by an artist they commissioned to make some character art for their brand new novel? Let's delve into the story, and again, please don't send hate to any parties involved. So this all kicks off with a TikTok video made by an author named Alex Lane.
I got scammed by an AI artist. If you don't know me, my name is Alex Lane and I am an indie author. I'm currently working on my third novel, A Hades and Persephone Romantasy. I was super excited to work with this artist.
I also gotta say, I am a sucker for a Hades and Persephone romantasy, so I need to hop in on this book.
When she sent it to me, it was pretty much exactly what I had described I wanted, but there wasn't anything right off the bat that concerned me about this image.
So basically, she says that she likes to commission artists because she herself is not an artist and she wants to employ artists, and that when she looked at it, it didn't look like anything was wrong with the piece. It was Hades and Persephone in a garden.
So when I posted this artwork, I was so excited to share it with my readers, to share it with the people that follow me, and instead I was met with, by the way, this is AI. I had a bunch of artists start reaching out to me to tell me that it was AI, and
To her, this book was extremely emotional. She cried during some parts of writing it. She was really excited to post the artwork. She posted it, and a whole bunch of people were like, yo, I think it's AI generated. So this is the artist page. Their handle is art by Luna Camila. Now, again, don't contact, don't send hate, don't bully anybody. This is just to be aware of people that could be potentially scamming. Looking at their account, they do say they had an old account that was suspended, so maybe there's some older artworks that we can't see. They have a post from March 9th, 2025, and then, some illustrations from back then. And then their next illustration, they only have two posts in 2025. Their next one is April 2026. So I'm not saying you're not allowed to only post in 2025 and then have like two art pieces and have a big jump, but an account that's so new, recent to, post Gen AI becoming a thing can be a little bit suspicious. Again, don't just go accuse brand new artists of being AI. Obviously, that's weird. Don't do that. But the account has a bunch of other tells that has me suspicious. Another one is the big variety of different art styles that's happening on this account, because clearly this piece has a very painterly style to it. Then we have this art piece is in a much more semi-realism book style. And sure, maybe we can make the assumption that, oh, there's a 1 year gap between these two pieces, so maybe the artist improved and changed their art style. But then we have this, where this is much more cell shaded. There's a lot of very heavy line art used in this art piece that is not used in the other pieces. That is a stylistic choice, right? If you love line art, more power to you. But a lot of the other pieces don't feature very heavy line art. So it's interesting to see that that was chosen for one piece. So that's its own art style, right? Heavy line art, also heavy on the airbrushing. Then we have more of the semi-realism. And then this looks like it's done in a different style as well. And this also looks like it's done in a different style. So all of these, for me, giving me red flags, because all these pieces are posted within the same month. This was posted May 18th. This was posted May 19th. So they posted four artworks, another one May 19th, May 20th. They posted a lot of artwork in just a few days. I'm not saying you're not allowed, to have made art over the course of 2025 and you never posted it until now. But that is something that's a bit of a red flag for AI artists, is because they're dumping so much art so quickly. Human artists really cannot produce three fully rendered illustrations with multiple characters and a fully rendered out background and make three of them a day. There are some artists that can work really fast. And of course, there's some cases where artists are posting their backlog, but the high posting frequency alongside the rapid shift in art style, left, right, every art style is very different. The account being really new after Midjourney became popular. And then let's take a look at some of these art pieces that look a little bit suspicious. Here we have this character and she's got red wavy hair and she's kind of smiling at the camera. There's all these hair strands just glued to her face. And that's a bit interesting. To me, it's not really looking like something a human would draw. Next up, we have this drawing of a man in a suit and a woman leaning her shoulder on him, and they're sitting on a couch with what looks like a rich city skyline behind them. But what is really interesting to me is that everything is done in vastly different styles. So our male character here is wearing a suit and it's rendered in such a high realistic style. And for the most part, the female character is as well, until you get to her knees. And then it's very kind of cell shaded from the knees down. But the rest of the couch and the environment are drawn completely differently. I'm not saying you're not allowed to blend different styles, but it looks more like photo bashing than just an artist experimenting. And then we have this in a very different style. These are two elf sisters. And really, what is happening with the braid here? The braid for one of these characters is just so crunchy. It looks like candy wrappers that you crushed in your hand. And then the fingers are really interesting. We've got really interesting fingers. And the other sister kind of like doesn't really look like they have fingers at all. I'm not saying that it's like if you have bad anatomy, that means you use Gen AI, but I'm trying to point out the inconsistency between the anatomy of this art piece, where the way everything is perfectly like super rendered and the veins and the hands and everything and all the fingers are drawn well. And then we get this, where it looks very different from that style. And then now we have this art style, which again looks different. And then a week later, we get this, the super heavily rendered semi-realism, where it's super popular amongst these book scammers. And again, of course, there's real people that do draw like this. Just because somebody has a style like this doesn't mean they use AI, right? It's just very popular with Gen AI. And this art piece, we already have a lot of inconsistencies. He's got a sword sheathed to his left hip, and it for some reason goes through his cape. So you can see the sword protruding from outside of the cape. Like it goes behind the cape and it comes out. That on its own is just really odd. Or we have this. We have a guy holding an axe, and I'm not quite sure what's happening with the fingers on the axe hand. I think it's pretty funny because even the commenters are pointing it out. I guess this person didn't filter their comments. A commenter says this is so obviously AI. Another person says the picture subtext says AI content. Or this one, absolutely lovely. She looks like she's an assassin. She's got whites for eyes, so no eyes. She's missing a ring finger. Don't really know what happened there. And again, AI loves to do the like bajillion belt thing. So she's got a belt and then the belt buckle and another belt strap coming out of it. Like from what I have seen with all the belts that I've used in my life, you get one strap. So, you know, the buckle goes through the strap and it comes out and it's one strap. You don't have like two straps joining in to where the buckle is, and then they combine to make one strap on the other side. But AI loves to do that. It just loves for like assassin characters to add like 10,000 belts for some reason. So now you're probably wondering, okay, you know, we've seen all of the art pieces from this artist, but what does the art piece that OP commissioned look like? Well, let's go take a look. This is the art piece they received of their Hades and Persephone work. And it's in a very different style than any of the other pieces we've seen on the artist page. And boy, oh boy, there's so much going on here that makes me feel like this is AI generated, exactly like what the author suspects. Yes, just like they said, Hades has no eyes. The eyes just white. Also, one thing to note is that for some reason, Hades, the whites of his eyes are also yellow. That's an interesting choice. Persephone has strange looking flowers in her hair. These are not quite flowers. The hair is doing the whole looping situation. We've got it looping back in on itself, looping back in on itself. A lot of that is happening. Again, AI is really bad at making characters look at each other, whereas human artists who are drawing two characters together could easily do that. She is angry and yelling at him and kind of like yelling at his chin. And then we look at the details for the dress, and then a lot of the fine details, just kind of like, would a human draw this? It's giving like AI artifacts, especially when you look at the physics of other clothing elements, like the physics of the sleeve, kind of, for instance, as to what's happening over here. And then, of course, we have this mystery floating pillar back here. Or in this pagoda, we have what looks like the columns melting into the ground. But the most damning of all are honestly the pomegranates, because pomegranates are a big thing for Hades and Persephone. As a Hades and Persephone romantasy enjoyer, these are some very interesting looking pomegranates. Kind of look like they got fingers coming out of them. But we've got this guy over here where the pomegranate has 1, 2, and 3 sets of these little protrusions. They don't have 3. Like, most definitely it's AI, right? But like, if you don't know how pomegranates look like growing on a tree, I would assume you would look at like a reference image from it. So, you know, you could have a rough idea of how pomegranates on trees look like, and they don't have 2 ends of it, okay? Like, one end is just attached to the tree, and the other end has the spiky part like that, you know? But all of these pomegranates are double-ended for some reason, with the exception of that one pomegranate that's triple-ended. And one thing that I think is very interesting is take a look here. There are all these like leaf stamps stamped all over the tree. So as you can see behind here, there are leaves drawn in with line art back here. And then on top of that, it looks like the artist took a stamp brush and stamped leaves all over it. My conspiracy theory, and this is my tinfoil hats, you know, conspiracy theory that I sometimes like to yap about, is that I think they generated it with AI, took a look at it, and realized, oh shit, the tree looks super AI. And probably, oh crap, so do the plants here. So in order to try to hide it, I'm going to paint over all of the AI looking plants with a brush stamp tool of some sort. So either leaf stamps for the tree or bush stamps for the bushes, which is why we get like some situation happening here where the art style suddenly looks really, really different than everything else. And I think it's because they tried covering it up, right? You can see some more like blending happening here on the surface of the pagoda. That's my conspiracy theory anyways. Let me know your thoughts. You know, do you agree with me or disagree? To me, that art piece looks pretty AI generated. So the author continues.
People are saying that this is AI. You promised me like no AI for this. My art, my writing means something to me, and I want the art that is produced for my writing to be made by someone who is real, who has emotions where it means something to them. She's like, just trust me. And at this point, I'm like, okay, if someone can't prove that their artwork is theirs and their only defense is just trust me, that's not really a great sign.
And it just sucks because, like, if you're falsely accused, you would do the same thing, right? So it sucks that they're kind of stealing the whole MO. But a lot of these, like, AI scammers, because they have no way to defend their work, because if you ask them to provide sufficient evidence that they made it themselves, they cannot. They just appeal to your emotions instead. So they'll say things like, I would never do that, you know, questioning your judgment of their character. They will say things like, trust me, I made this myself. And then when you ask for substantial proof, they'll have some sort of reason as to why they can't give it. They're like, oh, you don't believe me? Is my word not enough for you? They'll play all sorts of victimhood instead of actually just, here's my layers, here's a speed paint, here's layers for another one of the art pieces I've done. You need me to live draw? Like, instead of that.
She told me that she was so disappointed that I just wouldn't, like, I wouldn't just trust her. She was
The emotions. I'm so disappointed in you. You hurt me so much. How could you do that? Tell me why you got a pomegranate with 3 little things coming out of it, okay? Give me a reason for that, and then we can talk.
so disappointed that I would doubt her artwork, that she would never use AI, and through all of this can't give me any like concrete proof of anything. So I'm like, okay, do you have a video of your process? Do you have sketches? She's like, I sent you sketches. The sketches are a line art piece and the completed file.
That, by the way, huge red flag. Huge. And again, I'm not faulting this author at all because you don't know what you don't know. She wanted to commission an artist to represent the book that she's worked so hard on that means so much to her. She did the right thing by commissioning an artist, and the artist went around and tried to scam her. So I'm not blaming the author at all. Like, it's no one's fault they got scammed. You know what I mean? It's the scammer's fault for scamming. But that's what these people do. Their MO is that they hope that you don't know enough about art so that they could get away with sending you the bare minimum because there is no intermediate. They used AI to generate the final product. They used AI to generate the line art, and they gave you both. And they're like, cool, like, now shut up and give me your money. You know, if you ask them for anything intermediate, they can't give it to you. But typically that's not how legitimate artists work, because legitimate artists for commissions, and everybody has their own process. And I'm not talking about skebs or your character here's and stuff. Those are a different process, right? And if you don't know what a skeb is like an art that you can commission from an artist, but you get no intermediate say. That makes the art cheaper because there is no back and forth, and there's websites for this. But you'll be like, oh, give me like, I don't know, a mermaid drawing. And then I want the mermaid to have like a pink tail and like purple hair. And they'll just give you the mermaid drawing and the final product. You see nothing in between, no sketch, nothing. You can't like ask for changes. That's why it's cheaper. There's no back and forth. But yeah, that could maybe explain why you end up in a situation like this. But this is a full-on commission for a book. This is not a skeb. So when it comes to expensive commissions like this, most artists will work with you with extreme communication. They'll be like, what do you want? Da, 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 da. They'll give you a sketch, and sometimes they'll give you multiple as like options A, B, and C, right? And then you approve the one you want. You'll ask for changes like, okay, do you make the hair fluffier or whatever, right? And then the artist comes back to you with the changes. You approve the sketch again. And then the artist will be like, okay, I'll start like doing the line work. And then they give you the line work. And then you're like, oh, I like it or I don't like it. Or can you change this? And then once you approve that, then they put in like the colors. And then they're like, hey, do you like the colors? And then the client will be like, oh, I like the colors. Or, oh, no, I imagine her hair to be darker. Could you darken it? And then you render. This is just one example, right? But like typically it's a very hands-on process so that by the time you get the finished product, you as the client have seen every single step of the way. And it works both ways. Like it's a win-win to do it this way because for the artist, it ensures that your client is happy because it's so much harder to revise artwork once it's fully rendered than like, you know, in the sketching phase. And then for the client, you also know that you're getting what you want because you've seen every step of the process that you can like, you know, critique. Oh, I like this. I don't like this.
So I request a Photoshop file so that I can go through and look myself. She tells me that she doesn't keep files.
What in the gaslighting is happening here? What do you mean you don't keep files? If you are an artist that works with clients. And of course, again, everybody's art process is different, but for the most part, if you're an artist that works with clients, I assume, and as somebody who has previously done commissions, right, you keep the files for a little bit because sometimes the person comes back and they're like, oh, actually, can you give me like another set with like different colors actually because I really like it and I'll pay you a little bit more, or they want changes really last minute sometimes, so most people will typically hold onto the working files for X amount of time in case this happens. You don't just insta delete after. There can be, again, like a fringe scenario where your device completely blew up or something and you lost every single working file ever, but that's super rare. But somehow every single one of these AI artists has a tablet that blew up and lost all their files, or a laptop that formatted itself, and so you can't access any files.
It doesn't have the Photoshop file. And at this point, I'm like, okay, the art was delivered a week ago. There's no way that an artist wouldn't keep the Photoshop file for artwork that they delivered a week ago.
Exactly. It's literally absurd. Unless, again, an absolute fluke happens, which it does happen, right? But I would just argue that's pretty bad practice to delete it literally, like, I don't know, the day you sent it over, I'm done.
She tells me that she doesn't have it. I keep pressing, right? Because I'm still getting comments, I'm still getting messages, I'm dealing with this on what I was supposed to be super excited about. Finally, she finds the file and sends it to me. I look through it and I'm like, this doesn't look right. The layers don't match up. She'll have a layer that has the entire character and then 2 layers of shading. And then the entire background and a few leaves is the next layer.
I'm sure because that's what happens. My theory is they used AI to generate this, right? And then, oh shit, the leaves look super AI, so I'm gonna make a new layer and then stamp some leaves on it and call it a day. Oh man, I feel so bad for this author.
And it's for sure AI. She added some details over it to make it seem like it wasn't AI, but it was. She generated the characters and the background and then just added some details.
What sucks so much is that, like, it's kind-hearted people that get scammed, who is like, oh, I don't want to use AI. Like, I want to work with a real artist. Like, I'm going to work with this artist because I like their work. If you don't know, you don't know, right? Like, you don't know art. You don't know if it's like AI or not. And this person's portfolio, on like glance, there's a lot of red flags to me. But if you're not an artist and you look through it, you scroll a little bit, you're like, oh, this looks pretty. This looks pretty. Oh, maybe it's understandable that, they changed their art style, which is why it looks that way. Okay, I believe that. Like, oh, well, they've been posting really frequently, but they did say their old account was suspended. So, that's probably maybe why they have so many art like posts so close together. And they have no AI in their bio. So you're going to look at that and you're going to be like, well, they said no AI. So like, it must be no AI, right? It has me so sad. So let's look at the comments because some more context was added there. Somebody asked, how much did she charge you? The author says $500. Another person commented in defense of AI, actually, being like, hey, I'm going to say something controversial. AI is a tool in its infancy and we need to embrace it. If the artwork is good, then stop getting worked up about it. A lot of people have the sentiment. And again, because of my channel, the content I make, you guys know where I stand on this take, right? But on the other hand, I will also argue again, whether you view AI as a tool and like a great thing, or whether you view it as something that is harming artists and not needed in this space, which is where I stand, right? This is deception because the artist clearly advertises no AI in their bio. So they're claiming they don't use it. They also know that this is a point of contention for people. That's the reason they have no AI in your bio, right? Because like, if you think that AI isn't going to be an issue and people are okay with it, then you would blatantly say, I use AI, or like, artist and like Gen AI photo basher. There are people who put that in their bio, right? And that's it. Now the person purchasing from you can purchase images from you fully informed of what they're getting and that they're going to get something photo bashed with AI. The reality is a lot of people do not want Gen AI in the work that they're purchasing. They value human work and artwork that is made fully by the hands of humans with no generative AI involved. So with that, it's deceptive to advertise yourself as somebody who doesn't use AI when, in my humble opinion, AI was used in this piece. And sure, she stamped a bunch of like leaves over it, but 99% of this art piece was done by AI. And the author writes, the issue for me is she agreed to not use it. We discussed that beforehand. If you use AI or are fine paying for AI artists, that's your business. I don't use AI in my writing and I pay artists to do the work themselves. I want my books to contain human emotion and the artwork I purchase for them to be the same. If she had been honest about the AI usage, I would not have purchased artwork from her and this wouldn't be an issue. And I agree that that is the core issue at the end of the day. Gen AI is one point. The bigger overarching issue is the deception involved here. Like, there's people who make TikTok videos being like, wow, buy a painting that my dog painted, you know? And they got little videos of their dog stepping on paint and then stepping over the canvas. And you buy one of those and then you get it, you spent $100 and you find out, like, I don't know, somebody's kid painted it. Then you're deceived, you know, because you purchased something thinking it was made a specific way and it wasn't, dog or not. Another person asks, how do you even know who's AI or not? I don't want to make a similar mistake in my purchase of a book cover. And the author writes, I wish I had a good answer for you. I found a couple artists I trust and I either use them or use people they recommend. Another person adds, this exact same thing happened to me, except the artist never actually intended to finish the piece. She was very clever and asked AI to show unfinished lines in the artwork so it looked hand-drawn. Which, by the way, is something a lot of these like AI scammers will do. They'll ask AI to either make the sketch for them or they'll ask AI to like add sketchy lines, you know. 3 months later, when it still wasn't delivered and I couldn't get a hold of her, I noticed her social media accounts had been taken down. Other authors fell for the same scam, and the artist was trying to run out the 120-day chargeback window so the $1,000 deposit couldn't be returned by the bank. Unfortunately, this isn't even the first time this happened. I ended up just opening Procreate and doing what I could. And by the way, this is what they ended up with, and it looks freaking sick. They did a great job. But what's super sick is at least the author has had some wins in their life. They have their completed duology and they were signing it in Barnes and Nobles, which I love. I'll have the author link down below if you would like to go check them out. Unfortunately, their Hades and Persephone romance doesn't drop until February 13th, so I have to wait a minute to read it, but I'll be very excited. I'm a big Hades and Persephone romantasy lover, so if you guys have any in that genre, recommend it to me. I would love to read more. But yeah, it absolutely sucks, man. $500. I hope they're able to get their money back because that blows. But I love to see the wins that they're celebrating along the way in their author journey. And with that, if you like this video, I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Don't forget to check me out on Etsy. I have digital art there for streamers and creators. I have an alternate YouTube channel actually where I post lifestyle content and I have a bunch of vlogs up there. It would mean a lot if you'd like to go check it out, or up to you if it appeals to you. If it doesn't, that's totally okay too. But I recently just went golfing in Palm Springs with my friends. I did a whole vlog about that. And I stream on Twitch 3 days a week, Mondays and Saturdays at 6 p.m. PST or Thursdays at 7:30 where I do a podcast with my friend. So I hope to catch y'all there or in another video. Peace.